Shut up and sit down.
Hello and welcome to the inaugural, I think, VGR show starring me, Dan Lewis, and you, Nicholas de... I've been working on this all week and it's been great.
Let's do it live.
Let's do it live, yeah. This is actually the intro. Hello, welcome to the VGR show.
Yeah, this is fantastic. You wouldn't think that we did 60 of these before. Well, the in 5 minutes.
We did in 5 minutes the show which never quite lived up to its name on account of, I think the shortest one was 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We were taking the piss really with that one, weren't we?
Yep. So welcome back if you've heard us before.
Sorry.
And it's been a little bit of a hiatus, which was kind of unannounced, but we're here. We're back.
It's been a Half-Life 3 worthy hiatus, I think.
I like that. Point. That's a pretty good reference.
It's a pretty good reference. It's not quite as anticipated.
I've got to say that's probably the best reference we're ever going to come up with. If there's more podcasts, which there will be. But I don't think we're ever going to get a reference.
So
like
goodbye, folks. Well, this is our new idea for the show, which is to bring several news stories from the week, break them up on YouTube and audio, so you can listen to them in short bursts at your pleasure, or just do them all at once if you want to do it while you're playing World of Warcraft, running, or I don't know, masturbating furiously to my own voice.
I don't think anyone's doing that. Nobody is doing that.
I do.
Connecting up to 50 million people together. Who are playing Goddess, and all of this sounds unbelievable, and it sounds like one of my crazy promises, but actually because this is going live on mobile in about 3-4 weeks time, you can judge it.
Peter Molyneux, the king of bollocks talking.
Peter Molyneux is always the kind of guy that anything he says at any press conference or any news release is, Fable's going to have lasers and things. It's just the bollocks that leaves this guy's mouth. And the weird thing is that some people actually still believe what he says, which is annoying.
Yeah, with his new game, Goddess, he's suddenly turned around now and decided that he's not actually going to bother releasing on PC. Normally, this would just be a well done, Peter, slow golf clap, and then we'd bugger off, but he's kind of taken $500,000 off his fans this time, and then underdelivered. I think that's the line in the sand that he's sambered over.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, for those of you that don't know, so obviously Goddess was, it's not just a studio funded one, it's a funded one, it's a Kickstarter funded one.
Kickstarter,
right?
Yeah, it was $800,000, I believe, that they raised, over £500,000.
That's a hunk of change.
They've released the iPad version of the game. It was meant to be a Return to Civilization, which was that the game? That was the series he worked on. Yeah. And it was meant to be his big sort of return. He had the Curiosity reveal. He left Lionhead, of course, the Fable developer, and this was going to be his big return.
Oh,
and
not Civilization, Populous.
Populous. I do apologise.
Yeah,
I was a late bloomer of the gaming world. I'm more of a Nintendo guy than a PC one. But yeah, this was supposed to be his big sort of welcome back dance, and he's turned up naked, drunk, and covered in treacle for some strange reason. And he's again... did you read the Rock Paper Shotgun interview?
I have not.
Which I think was actually conducted by a real attack dog. Because when the opening line of the interview is, "So Peter, are you a pathological liar?" It's like, right, hold on to your trousers, this is going to be fun. Yeah,
I can't imagine that's a proper... That's not an email interview, is it? That's something you could probably only get away with sitting down face to face. Because Peter Molyneux, who's going to get that in an email form, he's going to go, yeah, I'm not answering that.
Block.
Yeah.
I feel happy for Laura Kay, the fantastic journalist who managed to get an interview of him just after that, where he decided he wasn't going to talk to the press anymore, which was strange, considering he was talking to the press at that point. But yeah, so basically what's happened is that they've turned around now and they've said that they're not really going to be releasing on PC, that it's not realistic that that's going to happen, that they've over budgeted, shock horror, even though they got loads more than they actually originally asked for. Also, I think everyone's left 22 Cans, his development studio, apart from him and like 3 people.
Yeah.
So it's just... but he has announced a new project.
Really?
Which I tried to Google the name of before this because I'd forgotten it, and you cannot find a reference to. So I think he's burying that now.
So he's this. I don't want to go on a tangent here. So he's announcing a new project without finishing the failed project. It kind of smacks me of EA and Battlefield.
No, it's the journalist Jim Sterling. He's the Jimquisition episode. He called the Molyneux cycle, which perfectly sums up Peter Molyneux, which is, my game's going to be amazing. Sorry, my game was shit, but my new game's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. And this is, I think that's perfectly summing up Peter. And I think he's used all of the sort of back cred that he got from games like Fable, which admittedly he burned through most of doing then. But
I mean, this is ridiculous though, because I mean, this is 3 years ago or so. It was launched on Kickstarter, probably 2012, end of early 2013. So, like you said, $800,000 or £500,000 in real money. And it was, like you said, it was supposed to be the reinvention of the popular series. It's supposed to have a living world. It was going to be multiplayer. It was going to be out on PC, Mac, Linux, every bloody thing. And
it's pretty good from what I've heard of the. I don't own an iPad even, so I can't really play it. But it looks beautiful, and it looks like a really kind of unique free-to-play game. But the problem with it is that I think most people wanted it on the PC. Yeah, I mean, let's face it.
The biggest problem I have with this story is, so if this was a company-funded project, then you can do what you want. Yeah, because your customers haven't paid for it before having it. So, but as soon as you can announce then that we were going to release it on PC, but we've decided to go down an iPad model and we're going to release it on mobile platforms. Okay, fine, I'd be annoyed, but at least I haven't shelled out for it. But you're going to ask your customers and your loyal fans to pay money for it on a promise that you're going to release this on PC and you're going to release it on Linux. It's going to be multiplayer, and then after the Kickstarter's been funded, after everybody, you've taken the money and you've run away. Yeah. And this is, I don't want to get into freaking Kickstarter because it's starting to become a joke.
Well, we're gonna get into Kickstarter because there's a couple of stories about that I want to talk to. But yeah, it's
and then you just turn around and you go, yeah, everything you paid for, well, you're not going to get. That's why it's bad.
That's why. I mean, it's extra. It's Peter Molyneux plus at the moment, and I think that's the problem with a lot of it. But I mean, this is becoming. People are starting to get a bit worried about Kickstarter. He says just after Exploding Kittens makes about $17 trillion, but. I mean, the Stomping Land was the more recent one, where they just suddenly stopped updating for a year, and then the art directors just turned around and said, "Oh yeah, he's not paying me anymore, and we haven't seen him in a month." The developer,
didn't Godus come out on PC for a little while on Steam though? Or have I gone mad?
No, the early access is out, but it's barely working and broken.
Oh right, so they've just turned around and gone, "Yeah, we're not carrying on."
Yeah, pretty much.
I was going to say, I just remember watching a couple of YouTube videos where it was absolutely broken. It was not really playable.
Yeah, the early access version exists, but the problem is that's kind of the only thing that does exist.
So I mean, we're going with Kickstarter. Have you ever funded anything on Kickstarter?
Yeah, I funded a Name of the Wind card pack, which we had. I funded a game which didn't make it, and Hannah has just funded Crowfall. Hannah's my partner, sorry. Known as JD on the internet, but
so I funded two things. So three things actually. I did the Oculus Rift original fund, and I stupidly didn't do. I don't think I did enough to actually get anything out of it. I just put money into it. So yeah, calling me stupid for that one.
I'm funding a hole you can throw money in. Do you want to help me?
No, I'm good. There's a point and click adventure which I funded, which I think PewDiePie. I can't remember the name of it. PewDiePie played it a few months ago. And the other thing I actually funded, which I've actually received in real physical form, is the history of the Sega Genesis or Sega Mega Drive, which was a
yes, I've heard good things
hardback
about
book.
that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic book. I recommend it to anybody that can find a copy of it now. Interviews dating back for years. So I've had, apart from being a freaking idiot with the Oculus Rift, I've had pretty decent experiences with Kickstarter.
I mean, I'm your friend. I really like you, mate, but that was pretty dumb. But what was the original opt-in to actually get the Rift?
I don't remember off the top of my head. It wasn't. I don't think it was cheap.
No, they're still like 300-400, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Kickstarter game thing. I mean, Crowfall is the one everyone's looking at the moment. It's a new MMO from a lot of people from BioWare and kind of ex-studio developers like that, and it's a open world PvP like Siege. Right. MMO, and it's just broken its $800,000 in like 3 days, and the $30 into that we put. So I think Kickstarter, game. I mean, the Yogscast one was another one where that game went tits up.
Yeah. I don't know how people still follow those people. How do they they've still got a huge following of fans that paid them money and then never came back. I'd have just shat all over them if someone did that to me.
I think it was mostly because the developer tend to shit all over. They still, I mean, the boys tried to give some stuff back, but I don't really know enough about that story to talk, so I won't.
I think I was reading a stat a few months ago, and I think it's something like only a third of all video game Kickstarters actually get delivered. Which is pretty crap.
It's even worse on early access, isn't it? I mean, early access is just as bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
I don't want to talk about early access too much because I kind of want to go into depth on it another time. But
yeah,
Steam early access has become the new Wii shovelware, I think.
I mean, I've been shafted on a couple of early access things before, where because the weird thing with obviously today is that the biggest thing that can ever sell a video game is a YouTuber playing it. So if someone Total Biscuit gets on it, or PewDiePie gets on it, or Nerdcubed, or whoever starts playing it, you see it, they give it a raving review, well, you trust that, so you're going to go and buy it. So there's a few things I've bought on early access which I've enjoyed for about, a couple of days or whatever, and then I've come back to it 2 weeks later and it's still the same game, and you go back to it a month later and it's still the same game, and you're like, well, I don't want to get into Steam and early access. I'm sure we can do that another time, like you said.
Yeah, I've got an episode planned on that, but yeah, the Peter Molyneux thing's a bit sad, and we'll put a link to the Rock Paper Shotgun interview somewhere because it's just the most savage interview I've ever listened to, but kind of deserved it. It's hard for me to feel bad against him. It's like, oh, this is really sad, and Peter Molyneux's getting beaten up. He did act like a bit of a dick, though, so.
That brings me to our big exciting news today. Fable Legends will be free to play. Everyone and anyone can download and play Fable Legends whenever they want.
Fable Legends is supposed to be, so it's been announced that it's going to be a free-to-play game on Xbox One and Windows 10. No idea how we've got from Windows 8 to Windows 10, whatever. So Fable Legends, like I said, free-to-play game.
789.
What?
That's why there's no 9, 789. That's the worst. I'm sorry, that's the worst joke I've ever said.
I was really happy with the quality of that segue you did right at the start of the podcast, and now you've just unleashed that on them. It's just like,
and no. I think if people liked me before, my fiance's left me now, so
cancel the wedding.
I've got that. That's. Sorry, you were speaking before I shoved my fist into it.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So Fable Legends, free to play game. Lionhead and Microsoft are turning around saying this is not going to be pay to win. They've said that from the start. Yeah, I heard that before from a few companies. But
H1Z1 was pretty good with that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it lasted.
Yeah. So what they're planning on doing is at the start you get 4 heroes that you can play as for free, and then after a couple of weeks they're going to bin those heroes. So if you like them, well, tough shit, and they're going to be replaced by a new quartet. And it's just going to basically keep looping. So they're going to do it every few weeks. They're going to, put new ones in, and the money that you earn in the game can be used get through quests and stuff. You can, keep your hero permanently, or you can buy that hero with real money.
So it's basically where they bring something in until you're just about to get it and then get rid of it. So it's basically like the Chelsea manager of video games.
Yes, yeah, pretty much.
That's a football joke. I do apologise.
I mean, so what they're kind of saying is that your hero and your equipment, they're not going to be reset every time they get taken off the rotation. No. So you can take off. So basically, your character will return at some point. So imagine playing an MMO where you've leveled up. You're playing WoW and you've got to level. I don't know what the cap is now, but let's say you're halfway to reaching the level cap. So let's say you get to level 50 or something, and then suddenly you can't play as that character for, let's say, next 2 months, and you have to start from scratch again. And then you have to level back up to where you are, and then 2 months later, you can't play as that character again, and you have to play as a different one. And then, maybe after 4 months or so, you can play as your original character again from level 50. That's kind of what they're doing here. Or
that seems unfun.
Or you can pay real money, or you can, if you get enough money from quests, you can keep that character and you can carry on playing. So, I don't know. I don't like the idea at all. I think they're saying it's not going to be pay to win, but well, if you've got to keep resetting where you are every couple of weeks,
it's going to be pay to fun. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. It's not a good idea. I can't see how it's a good idea. I think Extra Credits have released a video on it, which is certainly
Sponsored,
worth a risk.
so.
Yeah, well, it is sponsored, yeah.
But I mean, it's literally got sponsored in the title. I'm not having a go at Extra Credits. I really like Extra Credits, but they seem to be genuinely excited about the project, and it's not the usual. Mm-hmm. Oh, we have to play this. Click, click. Yes, it is good.
I've been in this game for a lot of years, and I got out alive. If you want my advice, give this shit up.
The PC Master Race has to wait a tiny bit longer for their GTA.
I don't know what the hell is going on here.
Well, hopefully they're making it very good, because at this rate, I mean, it's what, a year and a half now?
Pretty much, yeah.
The PC have been waiting.
Yeah, I mean, it was touted as well. Obviously, the game came out about a year and a half ago now. Then obviously there's the next gen. I don't want to say the word port because it doesn't feel like a port. Obviously most people have probably played the next gen stuff by now, or current gen, whatever the hell.
HD remastered?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think remastered is the proper term.
But I mean, I haven't heard anything that's going to be new in the GTA 5 on PC. Have you? I mean, I think
it's just optimization. I think they don't want an Assassin's Creed. They don't want an Ubisoft game, basically, where they're all terribly...
I mean, who would?
Terribly. Well, yeah, I mean... But I think they just want to really get it right. I mean, GTA 4 is still one of the most popular PC games out there, and I think they just want to make sure that they want to release something with which... I mean, Rockstar, they can act like D-bags at times, but they're a pretty good porting house, and I think they just want this to be good, and I think that's the main problem, and I mean... If they delay, I will say this: if they delay it for that long and then it's crap, I think that's. Well, I mean, that's the ritual sacrifice.
So, I mean, Rockstar came out this week. Then this statement, in just a nutshell, is basically our apologies to PC gamers worldwide who have been counting down the days of the release. But we need more time to ensure that the game's polished. It's basically that, and they want to make sure that Heist and GTA Online is ready on day one for PC. That said, Heists do now have a release date as well, so and that's March 10th. So we're not. I don't think we're too far away. Yes, it's been.
I think that's another thing which has to be good because we've been waiting. Heists were promised at launch thing, and it's a year and a half now. And I think I've still played. Nick got me a copy of the PS4 version for Christmas, so I've been playing it a bit, but I mean, a lot of the original fervor's gone now from a lot of people.
It has, yeah. I mean, I'll say one thing about GTA fans is that they're patient.
They have to bloody be almost as patient as Half-Life fans.
Yeah. But I completely agree. The allure and the really coolness that the GTA had at the beginning. It's the same as any game. It's only going to last too long. And GTA Online it's not dead by any stretch of the imagination.
It's not dead. It's not. I think. Well, I want to talk about GTA in depth. I think we'll wait till the PC version's out. But
I think it's going to be one of those things that when the PC version comes out, I think it's going to see a new lease of life because there's going to be modding on it. It's going to be modded to shit.
That's 90% of what people want out of that game.
Yeah, and then with the heists coming online, I think you're going to see a big reflux of people going back to it to check out the heists. But the problem is
hope they're better than the Assassin's Creed Unity heists, which were pick up a box. Congratulations, you have heisted.
Yeah, the problem is I don't see. It's once you've done those heists, unless they keep putting new ones into the game, you're not going to keep playing. Once you've done that, that's it.
Well, we might get some GTA 5 stories like the Gay Tony expansion and stuff for 4. Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. But is it a little too late? I kind of think it is. I think the modding side of it's going to go crazy as usual. We're going to have like 50 million pixel 4K super cars from every foreseeable angle. And have you seen some of the stuff that's running on 4 now?
Yeah, actually I have. Yeah, I was about to mention that.
I don't understand how anyone outside of NASA can get that working.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, so there's a group of modders that have basically turned GTA 4 into GTA 5. Which is ridiculous.
No, they've not turned it into GTA 5, Nick. They've turned it into actual footage from a camera that you've put outside your door.
Well, there's that too. Yeah, I mean, there's...
It's beyond even the PS4. And I know people are screaming, "Oh, the PC's better," but it's incredible. And I don't understand the technology it runs on because Is it powered by Obsidian? Is it cooled by Elsa? No, but this is make or break for a lot of people with Rockstar. I say that as they've already probably made more money than I'll ever see.
Well, I don't think it's make or break. I mean, it's a case of look.
It's make or break for their reputation, I think,
Yeah,
especially
well,
on PC. Because
I mean-
I think PC gamers tend to be a lot less forgiving even than console gamers, and I count myself as a console gamer, so
I think
we'll have to wait and see.
I think they're in a position that, you know, if we're talking about this in a year's time, it's going to be talking about GTA 6, and the conversation is just going to be, oh my god, look at GTA 6, and you know, pre-orders are going to be through the roof. People are going to be shoving money down people's pants like a cheap hooker to be able to get hold of it. So I think Rockstar are one of those companies that are so big that they can do a couple of delays. You know, it's kind of like you know, Warcraft, for example.
Well, they say Rockstar got people to buy LA Bloody Noir, so
It started with a meeting. Everyone was there. Scarecrow said he had a plan, that together we could take you out. And Gotham would be ours.
Over my dead body.
I believe that was the idea.
Batman. No. Who cares? Nick, you talk about Batman because I've lost all interest in the Arkham series after Origins.
Well, okay, so for those of you who don't know, there's a brand new trailer out. So the Arkham Knight game is coming out. Is there a release date for it today? Who knows? But it's
summer, I believe.
Hang on.
Nick's currently panically typing.
I am. I'm going to look up the release date for it. I really should know that.
While he looks it up, I'm going to vamp and talk about how crap Origins was. Oh wow, wasn't Origins terrible? Actually, I think Asylum was the best. There was a noticeable downgrade with Arkham City, and
I didn't mind City, to be honest. It was bigger.
City was good. It was bigger, but it also lost a lot of the uniqueness that Arkham came with, because I think Arkham was such a sort of chiseled, well-defined, like linear, but in a good way, kind of game that all of a sudden out comes City, and it's this big giant city, and it just kind of feels. It felt a little bit too
big for what you were doing, and it was.
Yeah.
It was open world for open world's sake, I guess. It was, you know. But so anyway, Arkham Knight. So the release is June 2nd. The trailer it looks incredible, but the big thing here at the moment is kind of the M rating that's been slapped on it.
Yeah. What the hell?
I mean, so for those of you who don't know, obviously, so the ESRB have rated it as an M, which means it's mature, so it's 18+. There's a few downsides with that it obviously means
that's the equivalent of an 18 in Britain, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. So if you're from the UK, it's going to be an 18 rating. If you're from Australia, they kind of have a history of looking at M-rated games and 18+ games and not even selling them.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting a bit. They've actually got an M rating now over there, so they might. I mean, it depends on why it's an M rating. I mean, that's also made me worry because the other games weren't M rated and they were still very good, and it makes me kind of worried that they've just sort of tried to make it gritty and dark like that.
Well,
that
I mean,
Power Rangers thing recently. They've just gone out of their way.
I don't know if you've heard Sefton Hall's response to this. So Sefton Hall is the founder of Rocksteady. So he basically turned around and just said, "Look, from our point of view, we never wrote it or made it with with a rating in mind. So we just wanted to make a story that we just really wanted to tell, and we never did it with the previous two games either." So, you know, he basically turned around and said, yes, that rating is going to mean that some younger fans won't be able to play it, but it would be wrong to water down the game to appeal to mass market. And he said, we're not including gratuitous blood or swearing, we just wanted to deliver a true end with no compromises, and it takes us to some dark places along the way.
I think it's the Catwoman sex minigame they're going to have about halfway through it. They'll probably do that. Or is that just God of War? I think my biggest problem with the game is that I'm trying to think what would make it an M rating, because you're fighting as default as someone who's a non-killer, and I know that Batman is a dark universe when it wants to be. The Joker's a prime example. I mean, also, how are they going to make Joker the bad guy at the end secretly? Because that seems to be what they do now.
So Arkham Asylum Arkham City, started turning the Joker's kind of not really a bad guy. He's just misunderstood, and that kind of.
It's all going to be about Scarecrow, isn't it? In the new one.
Sorry.
It's Scarecrow in the new one. It's not Joker. They've said. I'm wondering how they're going to shoehorn Joker into it somehow, like they did with Origins.
Yeah,
I mean, it does seem like they're going for, okay, we haven't got the Joker anymore. Who's a bit like the Joker? Oh, let's change around Scarecrow so he's a bit like the Joker.
Yeah, I think looking at what the trailer's got out there, I think it looks like a very fun game. You know, it's certainly going to be a game that I'm going to get, whether it's on pre-order or whether I get it straight away. I don't know. The trailer's also showing the little things in there that, you know, it looks like you're going to be able to drive the Batmobile now, which has me a little bit worried because as a game or a series of games that hasn't had any driving mechanics in it at all, if that doesn't feel right, that is going to be terrible.
The great big shoehorn just turning up and going, oh, there's driving sections now.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm being optimistically unoptimistic about it, so I don't expect it to be good. And you know, live as a pessimist because you're either constantly proven right or pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Right, should we move on to story number next, which is Evolve.
Yeah, so I literally know anything about this game at all. I've kind of kept away from it. So
this podcast was originally going to be recorded a bit earlier, which is why we're only talking about it now. I've played Evolver. Sorry, no, there's no D there. Oh, fun. No, Evolve is a 5v4 multiplayer game where one person plays the monster, then 4 people play the mercenaries that have to hunt the monster, and the idea is you have to evolve the monster up and then take the mercenaries on.
Mm-hmm.
The mercenaries have to work together to fight you. And sounds good. Bit of a problem with it in that, 1, if you're playing the monster really well, the mercenaries have no fun. 2, if you're not playing the monster very well, the mercenaries have all the fun, and the monster's basically a giant big punching bag.
Right.
And the other problem with the game is that it's a free-to-play game that costs $50. Sorry, £50.
What do you mean?
About $60. It has £80 worth of DLC day one, Nick. There's a spreadsheet for you to work out how to get things from pre-orders and pre-order bonuses and season packs and limited editions and things like that. I think there's 20 different editions.
Right. Okay, but so what do you get? It's let's say I look at my Xbox One and my PS4 and I get
it's
this
3 monsters and 12 hunters which you've got to unlock in the game, and then
this is standard, right?
I think there's less than that. I think it's half of the content is DLC.
Wow.
From what I can remember, yeah, about that. So it's 8. If you buy just the game on its own,
mm-hmm.
like not pre-order, not that sort of thing, it's £80, about $120. Sorry.
So I mean, how are they handling this? So I mean, like,
but they're handling it by making a load of money off it. That's how they're handling it.
But I mean, like,
I played the game, and it's a decent game. It's going to suffer from the Titanfall problem of this is fun, bored now. Is
it one of those games where? Okay, so let's say I was saying, I go on my PS4 and my Xbox One tonight, and I go, okay, you know what? I feel like being ripped off in one way, so I'm going to Download Evolve. But you know what? Actually,
I've got too much money and my fire is stopped. How will I?
So I want to get it. I want to get it. It's free to play. I can download it.
It's not free to play.
It's not free to play. So it's 50.
You've got to buy it. It's a free to play game, but they charge you for it basically.
Right. Okay. So
it's not. It's in no way is it free to play. It's a proper AAA retail game.
Mm-hmm.
But it has as much content in it that you have to buy as a free-to-play game. There's about as much content in there as there is for Rift, which is an MMO free-to-play game, or I think I was PlanetSide 2 offers less DLC. That's a literal free-to-play shooter.
So if I go grab this now, and
I think it depends on what version you want.
But okay, am I going to be thrown in with the guys that have spent all this money on DLC and just get shit on?
Yeah, well, from what I remember, the more fun classes you get from unlocks, and it's hard to be competitive without some of them, but you can play the game, or you can just download it. It's a really confusing sort of labyrinth of DLC. But it's just absolutely crazy. I mean, the reason I wanted to talk about this is just where the hell is DLC going?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, the most fun I've been having with the game recently was Dragon Age Inquisition, which is an EA game, I remind you. I know it's BioWare, but it does have a forced-in terrible multiplayer that has like chest purchases, which you can either buy from in-game gold or real-life currency, which is like a boosted system.
I mean,
that's utterly ignorable. In the main game, there's a £5 DLC, which is the bonus, like the deluxe edition upgrade,
mm-hmm.
which you can ignore completely. It doesn't help you at all. And then it's 120 hours of game.
I mean, there's two games that I would talk about now, but I'm going to talk about them later. So we got a little segment later where we talk about two games that we've been playing in the last week or so. Both my games are pretty DLC heavy, and they have consequences for those, especially one of them if you haven't bought DLC, considering it's a freaking iPhone game basically. So I'll go into those a little bit later on. But I don't like DLC for DLC's sake. I like DLC if it's rewarding you and it's giving you a new experience and it's,
Well, DLC, it should go back to calling it the expansion pack.
Exactly.
Because that's literally what it should have been.
I think we can. There's a podcast on its own for this. I think, but
yeah, well, we're not going too deep into it. But the people from Rockstar, Take-Two, they've been really defending this and saying, "Oh, we just wanted to make the game, or we wanted people to have the power of choice."
Yeah. Briefly touching on it, I remember, growing up, and I would love a PC game, and I would play it to death, and 6 months, well, not even 6 months, it'd probably be a year, maybe even 2 years down the line, an expansion pack would come out. And that expansion pack wouldn't just be, like if you played Roller Coaster Tycoon, the first few ones, you'd get an expansion pack. And it wouldn't just be, here's a new roller coaster, or here's a new ride to put in your fun park or your theme park. It would be, here's a new set of levels, here's a new look for the game, here's a new feel, here's a new makeover, here's 700 new roller coasters, and it would change the game. It would be what it is, an expansion. And now you get day one DLC, which is on disc.
I think Capcom are the worst for it by far, but the really annoying thing is the people who kind of started the cosmetic DLC trend, which were Bethesda with Oblivion Horse Armor. They're the best at DLC because Skyrim has DLC, and I look forward to it because it's like, I've got enough out of this massive game. Oh look, there's going to be an extra expansion for like £15, and I played through Dragonborn, which was the Skyrim DLC.
Yeah,
it's a 20-hour DLC. It's £15 for a 20-hour extra. That's good.
Skyrim, by the way, a game I have never played.
Nick's never played Skyrim. He's never played Mass Effect, which I constantly hit him with the sticks.
No, I played the first one and finished the first one.
You've played the worst one. You've not played the other two.
Oh, random rant, by the way. Random segue. I had bone marrow in London to eat. That was fucking
bloody
incredible.
Nice, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I'm not.
Yeah,
this isn't a food
VGR
podcast,
tip, eat
but
bone
fuck
marrow.
me.
VGR show tip: eat bone marrow for some reason.
Marrow.
I'm getting glared at. No, it is. I should point out cow bone marrow.
Yes, it's not human.
Yeah, we're not suggesting you recreate something Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, it's
like
the VGR show, Advocates for Cannibalism.
Yes.
Welcome back. Go kill your parents.
I think
there's a soundbite.
One of the most famous dogs around. He has 20 million hits on YouTube.
Tillman has a lot of things most dogs don't have, like his own bus, his own assistant, and millions of fans.
So now that we've talked about sensible games, should we move on to the silly segment?
Yeah, go for it.
Basically, this is the dog skateboarding part of the podcast. So, hey, we've had all the sensible podcasts. Now let's talk about Kanye West. Mm-hmm. He is insane, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
He is. We've just come off the back of him deciding to be a massive knob to Beck again. And when you make me side with Beck, and now he's going to make a video game. He is going to make a video game.
And about his dead mother.
Yes, ascending to heaven.
You know what? Wait, can we just be, for 5 seconds, silent so people can soak that in? So Kanye West is making a game about his dead mother.
Quote him. I'm going to quote him in a minute, listeners. Brace yourselves. Just have a moment to think about things that aren't Kanye West. Okay, here he goes. The idea is that my mother is going through the gates of heaven. He said his mother's dead, by the way. And that you bring her to the highest gate of heaven by holding her to the light.
Just let that soak in.
Yeah, and now I'm going to really, I'm going to knock you with a 1-2 punch. This is the Frank Mir uppercut of things. This is going to make a shitload of money.
Mm-hmm.
And you know it is, because do you know how much money his wife's game has made? Have you ever played his wife's game? Kim Kardashian West, whatever she's called.
I have not, but...
I've watched Game Grumps play it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think counts as journalism, but it's basically where you go around and dress up, and then you go to shops and you dress up more, and you have to buy clothes.
Yeah, it's like an
money.
iPad game, and everything costs money, right?
Yeah. I want you to guess how much money that game's made. Considering it looks like the kind of thing that me and you would have made in our IT course at college.
Yeah. 100 million, I don't know.
$200 million, Nick. 85 of that going to Kardashian herself. I want you to think about everything you've accomplished in your life, everything that you've worked hard for. Then I want you to watch a trailer of the Kim Kardashian game, and then I want you to weep, because that's what you deserve.
You know, there are some buildings in the world...
We've created this world. We live in this world. We haven't rioted yet.
There's some buildings in the world. There's some stadiums in football, in sporting venues in general, that don't cost $200 million. There's countries in this world who have got a worse GPA than 200 million. You know.
Here's a way I could really depress you, Nick. The original Majora's Mask made less money than that.
Well, yeah. Well, there we go. Isn't that that's a really good segue into our next one, actually?
Oh yeah, we're going to leave that now because we have to press. Basically, there's going to be a Kanye West game. It's going to be awful. His wife has way too much money, and I don't know why we're talking about it because we're actually perpetuating the whole system that's helping her get famous.
So segueing into the next news story. So, you know, if you're a Zelda fan, you might want to cover your ears at the moment.
No, I'm a Zelda fan, but I can't because I'm not the microphone.
I mean, so here we go. So you are.
Should we intro this by having me rant about how great Majora's Mask is?
Well, I don't think there's enough time.
Oh, Majora's Mask is brilliant. Carry on.
If we had to listen to you talk about Zelda and Majora's Mask, we'd be here for a while. So,
Majora's Mask is just lovely, Nick. It's horrifying, and it's all about death and pain, and it's just brilliant. And
if I could pass you
more
some
about
tissues,
me than anything.
I would. So, obviously, you guys are aware.
So what's this person done to this wonderful thing, Nick? Make me happy about.
Yeah, here we go.
Games.
So obviously, you guys are aware that there is a Majora's Mask limited edition gold kind of looking Nintendo 3DS, right?
That might as well be literal gold. That's how I would just do it all the time.
I think they're maybe retailing for $300-400, something like that.
I looked the other day. This is in real British money, but I looked the other day, and I think the cheapest one I could find was on bid for about $250. So
yeah, so
I wasn't allowed to get one. Something about rent.
So you know those people that you see, those weird douches on Instagram that like have loads of money and they flaunt it on Instagram and everyone likes their photos and things like that. So I think it might be
balanced human being.
Okay, well, it might be one of those people, I would hope, that's probably done some of this, or he's just a massive douche and has no idea what he's doing. So he got a Majora's Mask 3DS, and I'm not a huge Zelda fan, but this insults me anyway. He bought one. Fantastic. Okay, he can do what he wants with his money, except that he put it in a microwave, turned the microwave on, melted the limited edition Majora's Mask 3DS, and then decided to sell it on eBay, and I think it's still up for sale at the moment, actually, but it's got a buy it now price of $11,000.
Nothing about that sentence didn't make me angry.
You know, and the stupid thing is as well, if you think that this is the only time he's done it, he hasn't. He's done it before with iPhones.
This is the new professional douche kind of people, isn't it? They're usually the ones that end up in prison now, I found. It's like, hey, look at me, scroll that on my thing, and then it's like, oh, shockingly, he evaded a load of tax. Who would have guessed?
Do you remember the Will It Blend series on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that, but the guy's destroying things and then selling them. And then people are buying them. For a ridiculous amount of money. I mean, why... Even if you wanted a melted, if you wanted a melted Majora's Mask 3DS, why would you not buy a Majora's Mask 3DS and melt it yourself?
I think. Look, Nick, I think I can easily describe why that's happening. It's because we're talking about it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the thing: people do stupid shit, and you think, "Why the hell would you do stupid shit?" And then you talk about it, and then someone else. It's the Katie Hopkins effect. People do dumb things to get attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
And if you don't know who Katie Hopkins is, don't Google her. Just live happy. That's good. It's like never seeing Two Girls One Cup. Just live like that.
I will point out, by the way, that wasn't Dan being incredibly big-headed. Where like, yeah, we're talking about it, so that's really cool.
No, it's genuinely that everyone talks about it.
Yeah, every freaking thing has picked it up. It's
basically what we're saying is that melted 3DS is either blue and black or white and gold, depending on how much you hate that man.
This week, I have been mostly...
Right, so yeah, moving on to the next one. I've been playing a game that everyone else hates today, and in the last couple of days, which is The Order 1886, which is possibly one of the most puzzling games I've ever played. Because
I haven't picked this up yet, so...
No, and I wouldn't.
Really?
Right. Here's the problem with the game. One, I finished it in a sitting. And not a particularly long sitting, and that alone isn't enough to make me hate things, because I can finish Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the first one. I can finish that in about 4.5 hours, and I love that game. It's a brilliant game.
Yeah, which not a single player game, by the way. So
Well, yeah, it's got. That's what I mean. But it has things past the first playthrough.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This game, it's 4 hours all in all. I'm not going to go into the spoilers because it does have a pretty good story. The problem is the pretty good story starts about 10 minutes to the end.
Right.
And then finishes, and then it's like, oh, this is going to be really good. Right, here I'll break it down. It's too short, and it has no replay value. It looks absolutely they delayed it, and you can tell they delayed it, and you can tell that they worked on it because technically it's perfect. It's beautiful looking, it's cinematic, it's atmospheric, the sound design's brilliant, the voice acting's great. Then you play it, and a lot of the times with these kind of games, I leave angry. And it wasn't a game that really made me angry. That's the thing. It was a game that made me kind of annoyed. The best parallel I can think of is Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes.
Okay, so this is one of those games where you're saying, looks alone, it's a 10.
Looks alone,
personality
it's a 10
wise,
looks.
It's a deal.
It's a tech demo. It's a tech demo that they want $60 or like £50 for.
Right.
It's a demo. It's too short. It's not going to assault, and it's got proper gameplay problems. It's got a hacking minigame in it, right? And it's set in Victorian London. It's got these. It can never quite pick a tone of its gameplay. Is it a stealth game? Is it a third-person shooter? Is it a parkour game? Everything has to be these days. And
doesn't have shoe-in car races though, does it?
No, I'm sure they're planning that for the second one. It has a blimp battle at one point, but I don't want to spoil the story because it's a decent story, and I think that if you have money to burn or if you can rent it, it's a definite rental. I'd say that.
Okay.
If you can get hold of it from like GameFly, I think the American one is, or Boomerang, whatever the UK stuff is, I would definitely do that. But
so it's a game that's worth.
It's a promising game. It's nowhere near. Oh no! It's not worth £50.
Okay.
It's 5 hours, and what you got to think of. It's 6 hours at most.
Yeah. And
that's all you're getting out of this game. That's what you got to think.
I mean, so I describe that as knack. So for me, I got obviously the PS4 at launch.
It's better than knack.
Oh no, I'm not. But I got the PS4 at launch, and I would suggest everybody should play knack from a visual standpoint. It is a Pixar movie as a game. It looks incredible, right?
But then you play it.
But it's not a game to play. It's a game to just experience and go, oh, this looks really good. This is kind of what the PS4 can do at launch, and this kind of shows you what it could do in the future. So the order's kind of a bit like that. The order is.
If you remember a long time ago, Metal Gear Solid 2 released the demo.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Right.
It's the demo that you've got to pay. It's Ground Zeroes again, where you've got to pay a fortune for a tech demo. And here's the problem. They've released demos before. I mean, look at PT. Have you played that yet?
No, I still haven't actually. No.
It's a phenomenal game. It's an hour and a half. It's free. Probably one of the scariest games of all time.
So the order. So the only other thing I would probably, from what you've been saying, is put the order in a kind of pigeonhole it with is Rise on Xbox One.
Yeah.
Gameplay wise, it's kind of it's alright. You know, it's got a shitload of QT QuickTime events in it, which I think the order's got quite a lot of QuickTime events in it, isn't it?
Oh, the order is quick timed up. It's I'll just take it. Basically, it's a third-person shooter. I'll just describe the game a bit more. I've been getting a bit mad. It's based in Victorian London. If technology was a lot more advanced, your main developer is Nicholas Tesla.
Okay.
You have lightning guns, and there's like a thermite launcher, which is actually a really unique gun when you learn how to use it. And the problem with the game is it varies back and forward between sort of quick time. Max Payne was it? Like a quick time, get out of everything quickly, press, and then it goes okay. And the shooting is slow, and you run bad, and it's got sticky cover. And
yeah, I mean, it's like one of those games, like you said, it's a tech demo. I described Knack is a tech demo for early PS4. Rise is the ultimate tech demo for the Xbox One, and it's like the order has just done all that again. You know, gorgeous. It sounds like it's a gorgeous looking game from the videos I've seen. It looks incredible.
I never had bugs. I never had a frame rate drop. I never had any of those kind of problems. You can tell that they delayed it to work on this stuff, and they've done it really well.
But they just haven't spent the time on the story and the gameplay.
No.
Right.
You get a lot more. I think there's a lot better games of that sort of genre out there, and there's a lot more sort of. I mean, whatever you say about Destiny, there's a lot more content in it than Destiny. Oh, sorry, there's a lot more content in Destiny than that.
Yeah. My worry, just as a little segue before we go into my couple of games I've been playing this week. So, I do genuinely worry that when the current, I don't want to call them next gen because they're current gen now. So when the PS4 and the Xbox One launched, we saw a flurry of titles that looked fantastic, were the best looking things on a video game console you've ever played that played like arse. And
they were basically playable versions of the old PC graphics tests.
Yeah, and I do really worry that we are starting to see a trend where the amount of money that's being spent on these games to develop them is not cheap. But the amount of money they're spending to develop these games, they're spending on the graphics artists and they're spending on tech and making them look fantastic. Whereas,
and then you've got Nintendo,
who haven't got the best looking stuff, but Christ, they've probably got the most enjoyable
they
games.
have got the best. They haven't got the strongest tech, but I'm sorry, but I've not seen a game. If the new Zelda game looks anywhere near as good as the demos they show, I haven't seen a game as pretty as that because they know they know how to use the engines they have and they know how to make them look fantastic. Skyward Sword was on basically somewhere between a GameCube and a PS3, like two GameCubes tied together basically, and it's one of the prettiest games out there. And Skyward Sword is gonna look better than any of the PS3 launch titles like Killzone 2 and things like that because it's going to age well. And I think that's what Nintendo does so well. The problem is now is that you're having. I mean, I'm not going to. A lot of people are calling this generation gone already, but Naughty Dog haven't released anything yet, so there's still hope because they're people who can get every last ounce out of a console.
Nintendo just needs to open up the Wii U to more developers.
Yeah,
it's a Nintendo store. Basically, at the moment, where you go, what do you want? Well, it's a Nintendo game. Okay, right.
I think the best thing that could possibly happen in gaming is if Nintendo went console only. Sorry, handheld only and develop for other consoles. I think that's. And I'm a Nintendo absolute fanboy, but I think that their hardware is so restrictive and that kind of stuff, and they're just not good at hardware. And I think especially since they seem to like Sony these days. I think that if you had a Sony exclusive Nintendo run, I think that would make Sony win.
Well, Nintendo, the best hardware they've ever released was 30 years ago. Oh, if you don't count the 3DS or the DS, if you don't count those, the best thing they ever released, arguably, was the original NES and the Super NES.
I'd say the Game Boy, to be honest.
Well, I'm not counting handhelds.
Okay.
I think the original NES, the Super NES.
I'm not insulting Nintendo's hardware. I mean, my favorite console of all time is the N64.
Okay, yeah.
But I think the problem is though is that every time Nintendo seems to release something, someone releases something 10 times better. But the games are, the games are good. It's like that's the big thing with them. They're the best software developer in the world. It's just, and I'm going to talk about Nintendo another time because Amiibos have a lot of problems and a lot of good things and bad things. And I think we're going to spend 14 hours if we get into the Nintendo cycle.
So do I get to talk about my games?
I'll quickly sum up the order, and then but the order, rent it.
Yeah, don't buy
it.
Don't buy it. That's my
it's
take
a 6.
On that, yeah.
If you want to score for some bloody reason, 6 out of 10.
9 out of 52. That's terrible. Why did I give it so low? Anyway, so my 2 games this week are actually both 2 games that have been out a little while. I've been out of the country, away from home at the moment, just doing a couple of shows up with work.
Out of the country? You've been in London.
That's England. I live in Wales, away from my country.
To the mythical faraway land of London town.
Where everything costs twice as much as normal.
Did you have to bring your passport with you?
No, I didn't. No, that's a bonus. And everything is still in pounds, which is pretty good. So, although there's Boris bikes, which are a little scary. Anyway, so my 2 games are games that have been out a little while. One's an iOS game that I've been shoveling my time into much more than I should, and one's I've got on Xbox One. It's also available on PS4, and they're both wrestling games. They're both WWE games. So desktop wise,
oh god,
I've been. You can see where this is going.
Let me just get my anger back up from that microwave DS thing. I'm talking about Peter bloody Mullen.
The worst thing is they're going to end it on the iOS one, which is arguably going to piss you off even more. So
no, actually, no.
No? Okay, well, you've played this one, so I guess you can...
I've played both of them now.
So WWE 2K15. It is arguably, if you're a wrestling fan, then you know where I'm going to go with this. If you're not a wrestling fan, you've maybe played the games or whatever, then you probably know where I'm going to go with this. But it's the most disappointing wrestling game, I think, that I've ever experienced. It's the most
disappointing one since, I think, the original PlayStation WCW stuff.
Yeah, the WCW Nitro and WCW Thunder.
It's the most disappointing game since Backstage Brawl.
Backstage Assault or whatever. Yeah, Backstage Assault, which is, they did WCW Mayhem and then took out all the in-ring stuff and just had chairs in the back. That was stupid. So WWE 2K15, if you're still thinking about picking it up, I would say don't. So, in a very nutshell at the beginning, it's a very pretty game. The wrestlers, they're not all face scanned, but the ones they have face scanned look incredible. John Cena looks a little bit odd, but Randy Orton looks like Randy Orton. Most of the face scanned wrestlers look fantastic. You then do get some weird, uncanny valley things like Vince McMahon hasn't been face scanned, which is really strange.
Vince looks strangely like he did like 10 years ago. It's like 20 years ago even. It's weird, but... I played this one. I played the PS4 version. I should point out that the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions are different.
Yes, they are. Yes, yeah.
And even worse.
Yes, which is really weird because the last gen versions, if you've still got a PS3 or you've got an Xbox 360,
avoid like plague.
If you're thinking of picking up 2K15, don't just keep playing 2K14 because
it's infinitely
what they
better.
did is cut out loads of shit, and it's not even like the new engine as far as I know. It's just the old game.
No, it's not. It's the old engine, but trimmed back.
With shit removed, yeah. So, and then what they did with the new gen, or the current gen, whatever you want to call it, they invented a new engine, which does play okay. It's a little bit slower. They're trying to get a bit more of a real look into it.
It's not a little bit slower. It's half the speed it felt like.
But it's... I don't think I've played a wrestling game that's as buggy as this. You'll set tables up and they'll lean against the ropes and they'll ping off into the crowd.
And we should put up bugs are an important part of the wrestling game. I mean, if you search like WWE game bugs, you can find like 1,000 videos.
But you get random funny bugs in them, and then you get game-breaking ones where there's videos online where NerdCube plays WWE 2K15 fairly regularly. If you watch some of his stuff, he's had like Triple H flying around the ring, spinning around over and over again, and then hard crashes to the desktop of the PS4. I mean, or the Dash, sorry. It's very disappointing. The worst thing as well is they've removed a lot of the content that people love. You know, the big thing about these games is not how it comes. It's not the vanilla. It's the creation. The best thing about this is you can go and you can create your characters. You can create entrances. You can create championship belts, you can create storylines, you can create arenas, and what they've done is go, well, we're going to pull all of this away from you, so you can't do this. We're going to give you a limited set of creation tools, a broken community to download things from, which I didn't think I could say is any worse than the last year's 2K14 experience, but it is somehow. And
actually, I found that the downloading and the online, like getting to the online menus, was a lot quicker and a lot easier this year.
Yeah, I'll completely agree. But actually, finding the thing you want is 10 times harder.
How good was your meal? Well, the waiter punched me in the face, but this bread roll was nice.
Yeah. So if you played 2K14, you'll know that connecting and trying to download things takes a while, but it's very easy to find when you get in there. It's very easy to find what you want. Well, this is the complete opposite. So it's really easy to connect and very fast to download, but it's so difficult to find what you want. And coupled with this weird policy that they've had for a little while, I don't know if it's still going on, but if you upload something that they don't agree with, they'll not only remove it, they'll also ban you and stop you from uploading things in the future. For example, Chris Benoit. Now, going with whatever he did in the past, if I'm not going to go into it. You can look it up if you don't know it.
It's still an online. We're not talking about like people making like realistic, like horrible real life things, or people making sex objects in game and things like that. Things that you should. But it's just like
This isn't Spore. This isn't Spore where you can make a giant phallus and then make it wrestle somebody. This is, you're making real people. They look like real people. They act like real people. You give them movesets, and they're pulling content that they think they might get hit for, even copyrighted content, which they're never going to get. It's user generated. It doesn't matter.
Well, that all died when the City of Heroes stuff in Marvel went tits up, didn't it? Yeah. No one really cares about that anymore.
But so I mean, it's a game that if you really need something to play and you are a wrestling fan, okay, get it. But it's not going to keep you long term. arguably keep downloading the current updates for the last game and then wait for 2016. I do think 2016 will be fantastic. I think it's a good engine. It needs a lot of tweaks, but it's missing so much, and it needs.
Here's my problem. I just want to talk a little bit about the game because I think this is probably one of the worst sports games I've ever played. It's slow, and when you start the match, they've added the new chain wrestling system, which is flow breaking and horrible. It's rock paper scissors, and it's not fun. And they just stuck it in there because they want it to be realistic. But no one buys those games because they want it to be realistic because we watch wrestling for that, and that's crap. And I know wrestling isn't real. Shut up.
Yeah, I mean the rock paper scissors mechanic that they have for the start is. You actually, the way people play these games anyway is if you ever play them online or you play against people, they tend to run, so you'll run and do an attack and then you'll hammer X. If you give it to your girlfriend who doesn't play these games, she'll just, keep hitting the punch button because that's what it does more damage. So you end up not doing these mechanics anyway, and then when you do, they're so clunky and slow and boring, and you're just waiting for that period of the match to go over and then it kicks in. It's just, it's wrong.
It's the other thing as well is I've realised that those games are basically QuickTime games.
That they are becoming that, yeah.
The idea is you press R2 at the right time, you counter the move, and the problem is that if you counter, you can have a realistic thing where it's endless. And then there's the fact that I'm playing against bots. Some of the time you'll find that you have a stamina bar, and when your bar drains, you're groggy for a little bit, but it doesn't tend to happen to them.
Not too much, no.
So you'll tend to find like that they'll have no stamina and they're pulling off like top rope Canadian destroyer pile drivers, and you punch a guy and it's like, I need to sit down. It's like, oh, for God's sake, I've been wrestling for 2 minutes.
So
who are you, Hulk Hogan? Wrestling joke.
Yeah.
So me and Nick are wrestling fans. I do apologise for any wrestling jokes we break.
Yeah, they'll be coming up regularly. So
What's the other Hearthstone rip-off you've been playing? Then?
So the other one is WWE Supercard. So I will admit to sinking an awful lot of my time in this. I've spent a little bit of money on it, not an awful lot. I have been hooked in with it. But so it's a card battling game. You get your wrestlers, you level them up, and then you fight people online. It's definitely worth playing if you're a wrestling fan, even if you maybe are a card mechanic fan and you like that kind of thing. It's worth picking up. The problem with it is it throws a lot of paid things down your throat, and it's just not a fair game when you get reasonably far into it. I think I've racked up close to maybe 7,000 games on it or so, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, quite a lot.
That's the most depressing statistics since I checked my World of Warcraft playtime.
The problem with it is, though, is that so I've done 7,000 plus games ish, and I've got a very good deck. Not the best deck in the game because there's people that have played more than me, amazingly, and got better decks. But there's people who have had less than 100 games that have got better decks than me because they've bought them, and those decks aren't cheap. I mean, you're talking. So the maximum card you can get is called a superstar card, and that's the highest rank you can get. You can spend £45 to get one of them.
Your legendary on Hearthstone kind of level of card, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And that's £45 a card. So if I'm with my 7,000 games, I've spent a little bit on it, but nothing on the cards. I've spent money on getting quicker matches and things like that.
You're buried in the lead there. You can pay to actually make the game more playable.
Yeah,
because I played like a little bit, and I found it was like, oh, this is boring, and then just stop playing because the matches are so slow.
Oh, some of the things they do, it does work pretty well, and you can get through them quite quickly. But like I said, when you've played 7,000 plus games and you've got a very good deck, and you come up against someone who's played 100 games and has a better deck than you, with everyone's pros. So the pros are basically you've leveled the card all the way, you've leveled another card all the way, and they're identical, and you join them together, and you get double stats on everything. So they've got the same deck as me, but everything's a pro, everything's double, and they've played 100 games. And you're like, I shouldn't be in the same matches as these people when I've done 7,000 games and spent hardly any money, really. It's an interesting one. It's a fun game. They've got some decent mechanics in there. They do.
It's basically top trumps. I should probably point out. It's like you pick a stat, and then the other guy picks a stat, and then
So you've got like power, technique,
and then Cena wins. Lol.
And you've got power, speed, technical, and charisma. I think it is. Yeah. and you know, the game will tell you, right, this next game is going to be based on power, and then you pick your best power card, they pick their best power card, and the winner wins. And then at the end of it, you pick two. If you win, you get to pick a couple of cards in the deck, and if you lose, you get to pick one card. They've introduced a couple of mechanics into it now, so there's weekly tournaments as well, not just the King of the Ring, which is a tournament against real players. There's weekly features in there too, so you can unlock better cards faster and things. But it's a fun game.
It's a fun game.
If you're a wrestling fan,
ignore it at high level.
But yeah, when you start really getting into it, it's annoying because people are shelling out an awful lot of money on this game. I didn't realize how much money people would spend on these kind of games until I played this. It's pretty freaky.
Yeah, I think if you want a more in-depth, it's really basic. If you want a more in-depth card game, obviously Hearthstone's still a thing.
Yep.
And like the million Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh games that are out there.
Yeah.
And Netrunner, which is something I want to look into.
No idea what that is.
Oh, I think that's something we're going to have to play sometime. It's an actual real card game. So, Right, anyway, should we wrap that up there?
I think, whoa, speaking of real card games, Cards Against Humanity, that was the best card game I've played in a while.
Yeah, we might record that one day. That's I got it for Christmas off my brother, and Nick finally got around to playing it, and I cannot repeat anything because I don't want the explicit tag on this podcast.
Yeah, I think there was things involving Daniel Radcliffe and
ducks.
Yeah.
Please. But we have a special rule. We have the British edition, which has some different cards in it. So obviously, like, rather than mentioning specific states, and it'll have like politicians from Britain, and like the bloody Welsh is one of the cards. But we have the Ed Balls rule, which is if you play Ed Balls, you win that round automatically.
Yep. Yeah.
And Ed Balls is actually a politician. To our American listeners, he's actually a person. He's not a made-up construct. Ed Balls. Ed Balls. But should we end? I think quoting Ed Balls is actually
on the word balls is pretty much a nice way to wrap. I think
quoting that human scrotum is probably the best way to end a podcast. Anyway, this has been the VGR show, episode 1. We think.
Yeah.
Should we go to episode 1? This is the kind of the pilot episode. So
it's a reboot.
It's a reboot. It's an early access reboot. So if you want to give us money, we'll probably not deliver anything else.
Hopefully we'll get over it a little bit better than when they did the Dante kind of reboot. I don't like his hair.
Yeah, Nick's actually got long flowing white hair at the moment, just to be safe.
Yeah, okay.
No, but I'm Dan, and you can follow me on Twitter at Dan Ryu, which is with 2 Y's, and you can follow Nick, who has some preposterous. What's your one again?
At Real Nick B.
At Real Nick B. Yes, the real one, not a fake Nick B.
No, yeah. Do you know the true story about that? Is
that you've got an ego on you the size of a horse?
Yeah, I made a fake account. I made a fake account called Nick B, and then I made a real one so I could be the real Nick B. Yeah, there you go.
This is the level that you're going to have to deal with listening to this show, listeners. We do apologise. I cannot apologise enough. Anyway, that's the end of the show. We should be back either next week or in 2 weeks. We're working on the schedule so far. But goodbye.